We've gotten so many complaints about this over the last few months, about you and your car. So I know who you are, I know what you're doing, I know why you're doing it too. You can't keep doing this, dude.
This is Raven Beats.
Welcome everyone to Be Driven. So in this video, I'm gonna be giving you guys a full backstory of how I got caught street drifting. Yes, that's right. You're not allowed to do this. It's very illegal, and I got caught, and I faced the consequences. So the reason I'm making this video is mainly to give you guys a backstory of where I came from, who I am, what I've gone through when it comes to, you know, just driving around in sports cars and whatnot. And it just gives lure to this channel, you know what I'm saying? This is also for entertainment and educational purposes only. Do not do the stuff that you see in this video. Everything that is said and shown is done by a professional stunt driver, not me. No matter what kind of vehicle you drive on the road, always be safe, be careful, be courteous of other people, because it's very dangerous on the road and you do not want to get hurt or hurt anyone else. So simply just do not do stuff in this video that you see on your own. Don't do it. So yeah, before we get started, hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you're not gonna wanna miss any other videos that I make. But other than that, let's get started. So pretty much how this all started, I bought my first car, my dream car, back in 2022 when I was 18 years old. Now I'm 20 years old, almost 21. Back then, that was a 2015 Scion FRS in stick shift. It was my dream car, still one of my dream cars. Obviously I have it now at this point. And if you don't know anything about that car, it's very low horsepower. I think it's like 200, it's rear wheel drive, and I got it in stick shift, but that just gives you the combination of the capability to do donuts and stuff in parking lots. And I was curious, and I just found out that, hey, if you turn off traction control, you can do this pretty easily. And that's what I did, and that's kind of where it all started. So I would simply go to empty parking lots and just mess around. I would just do singular donuts one way, then the other way. I wasn't any good, I was just having fun. Since I was just in empty parking lots that I've never seen anyone in, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was perfectly legal, nobody was gonna get upset. That was obviously wrong, because I'm in this position now. I wasn't like super into cars, but I knew of cars. Like I wasn't like a complete gearhead like I am now. I was just kind of like, I was into it, but not really like obsessed yet. And once I found out that the tires were really expensive to replace, I would just go to wet parking lots in the rain and just simply just drift around in empty wet parking lots, because it was better and I had less horsepower, so it made it a little easier to drive. Then probably like 6 months after I bought my FRS, I moved out to Arizona. Yeah, I drove the car 3,200 miles all the way to Arizona by myself, 3 days straight of driving in my FRS with all the stuff that I owned. Then when I tried to fix it, I realized how expensive it was to fix cars after you consistently just break them all the time. It's so pricey. So my solution to that was pretty simple. I decided, you know what, let me just take some more money and buy a second car specifically just to drift that, because otherwise the car that I was driving before, the FRS, was just gonna get beat and break all the time, and I couldn't rely on it. So I did as much research as I could and found out that the best bang for your buck for power, weight distribution, for drifting is pretty much any older Nissan. So like a 350Z, a 370Z, G35, G37, whatever the case is, those were the best cars to drift in for the money. So I went on the market, found one that needed some paint work. Obviously the paint work didn't really matter because I knew I was gonna wrap the car, so the paint was irrelevant as long as it wasn't beat to absolute crap to the point where it was unsavable. Once I bought the car, I bought all the mods for it, the wheels, the suspension, the exhaust, all the drift mods, welding the diff to make it drive like a drift car. And then I went straight back to the parking lot, where I pretty much just took a few weeks to get used to a little bit more power, because the FRS compared to a Z has like 80 to 100 more horsepower than an FRS, and trust me, that's like 30% more compared to like the entire spectrum of numbers. And to be honest, I thought 300 horsepower was like stupid fast, because I was so used to 200, which is ridiculously slow, especially in like a straight line. But after a while of practice just in the Z, I got pretty good at it pretty dang quick. Damn. And you know, because I got good at it, I was getting really excited, so I kept going back and back and back. And police started to get annoyed because all the businesses that I would go to in their parking lots would just complain constantly that I was drifting and doing donuts and all this stuff in their parking lot. And because at that point I found out you could buy cheap tires from like a used shop for like 50 bucks a pop, I'm sitting there thinking I don't even care about tires at this point. I'll just go during the dry and leave marks. That was my #1 mistake, because the companies that owned the businesses, that owned the buildings, they all noticed that I was leaving all these donut marks around, and they kept calling the police. I just didn't care though, because I was being a little fucking ignorant. And at this point, my Z was already pink. It was already pink with the white logo, with the white wheels and everything. And to be honest, I thought 300 horsepower was like stupid fast, because I was so used to 200, which is ridiculously slow. And because I didn't get caught, I didn't care. I kept going back to these places, really didn't give a crap, which was my #1 mistake, which probably led to the entire problem that I faced. And over time, I'd post these videos, I'd get new friends, people would follow me, they'd ask me, you know, all these questions, and I got a group of people that all had drift cars. And at this point, I was so ignorant to the point where I thought, if I don't get caught by myself, no way 6 of us will get caught. That was the stupidest mistake I've made, easily. Going to these places and doing drifts in the parking lot alone was dumb, but then doing it with 6 extra people at the same time, even stupider. So one afternoon in April of 2024, yeah, this is why this stems from such long ago, because it just stretches out forever. I had probably a group of 6 people all meet up at the same locations. We all had Z's, I think one person had a G35, and we went to this one parking lot, and I'm not even joking, we spent an hour straight of just straight hot laps, like lap after lap after lap after lap. Like, it was just unlimited drifting, and it was the middle of a weekend, so nobody was there, and we didn't think anything of it. Oh my. Oh, and he stalled. And I'm not even joking, they left so many tire marks in the parking lot to the point where the white lines that actually distinguished where the parking spaces were kind of hard to even know they existed, because the tire marks were just everywhere. And me being ignorant, didn't think anything of it. I thought because nobody went there and told us to leave, we were completely in the clear, which for a while, that's kind of what happened. But that assumption was pretty much the downfall, and that's where I went absolutely terribly wrong. So after that, while I went about my day thinking nothing of it, the employees that worked at that business, at the parking lot that a bunch of those people were doing donuts in and leaving all the marks at, noticed, hey, wait a second, our parking lot looks like a racetrack. What's up with that? So they decided to do the logical thing and look at the security camera footage that I didn't know existed. I had no idea there was cameras, which I'm an idiot for not looking for that, because that would have saved me this entire thing. If I knew that there was cameras, never would have done it, never would have gotten caught, never would have been put in this position. So me not realizing there was cameras there the whole time, pretty much they saw everybody there, couldn't find a single person, even though obviously there's literally 6 cars there. But me having a bright pink Nissan 350Z with a giant YouTube logo on it saying where my videos came from, they picked me, obviously. So that pink car has been a blessing and a curse at the same time. I feel like a lot of people know me from that car, but that's how the police find me, and that's where it goes bad. So they pretty much tracked the car down, found out where it came from, and wrote the driver a reckless driving ticket. That's the worst ticket you can get, by the way. If you didn't know that, in the States, that is the worst thing you can get. The driver received it in the mail, paid the ticket, not thinking anything of it, which was his biggest flaw. Because when you pay a ticket, that pretty much means you plead guilty. And you don't want to plead guilty to a reckless driving ticket. Bad idea. Why is it a bad idea to pay a reckless driving ticket? Well, because if you do, like I said, you plead guilty, and the consequence not only is $300-something, it is literally an automatic 6-month driving license suspension. 6 months straight, you can't drive. But me being me, had no idea. I just paid the ticket, thought nothing of it, and turns out doing that, you know, I pretty much surrendered my entire freedom to drive for 6 months straight. Then, like I said, because I had no idea that that was part of the consequence of having a reckless driving ticket, I just thought, like I said, it was just $300. I thought, okay, pay the $300, whatever, they'll leave me alone. Obviously, I was wrong. I know that now, but back then I had absolutely no clue. So I, like I said, went about my life, didn't think I got caught or nothing. So because I didn't think I got caught, a few weeks after that entire incident, I went out with my buddy who has a yellow taxi E46 drift car, completely different guy. Him and I went to another parking lot, but it was like underground in like a garage, and it was super shady. It was kind of like a super long tunnel, and we were there for hours, and I mean literally 2-3 hours straight. Lap after lap after lap after lap. Pavement was super smooth, so it didn't beat up tires that bad, and it was perfect. But after a while, a few hundred feet away is where the neighbors were. There was like a bush garden, like with a bunch of trees, a main road, and then a neighborhood, and then the parking lot that we were drifting at was way in the back. But pretty much what happened was we did a bunch of laps, and probably about 30 minutes later, we were just chilling, talking, letting the cars cool off, because we just absolutely beat the crap out of them for 2 hours straight, and the police show up. We're sitting there thinking, okay, we're just parked up, standing like this, doing nothing. There's not gonna be any problem. We both thought, well, police are here, but we're not doing anything. They didn't see anything, so they can't do anything about it. Wrong. And they told me specifically that they knew what we were doing, and they were just gonna let us go.
It doesn't matter. I know what you did, but we'll call it. I'm not talking about that. But they talked to you and warned you earlier about everything going on.
They warned me that there was noise complaints. I was in one parking lot,
Yeah, I know.
sitting there, just running my car rails and doing anything. But they warned me that I wasn't allowed on the property. I didn't know that I wasn't.
Yeah. Well, this is private property too, technically, right? I mean,
I just figured if I could drive into it, it's not private property.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So it's open for the public to access, but it is owned by someone other than you, correct?
But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, so that's
So public property would be.
All right, I understand. I'm not getting into it.
Okay,
I'm not. I'm here to talk to you about
gotcha.
it. All right. We've gotten so many complaints about this over the last few months about you and your car.
Me specifically.
Well, your car stands out quite well. All right. As far as East Sweetsford Road, where you were contacted today, earlier by the cops, the other officers, in the parking lot on East Sweetsford. I said along East Sweetsford.
Yeah.
Okay. It was. Also, back in February, January, I pulled over one of your buddies in the back in that parking lot because you guys were drifting through there, and then you took off. It was like midnight, 2 in the morning. It was a rainy night, and you left when I pulled him over. Because again, that car's very distinct. I know it. So I know who you are. I know what you're doing. I know why you're doing it too. You can't keep doing this, dude. In public, in private property, because all the residents around here are calling because they can hear your car doing this stuff. At the same time, the businesses have called to complain to us about all the tire marks in the property. It's not causing damage yet, but they're concerned about that. Because at the same time, again, I'm not saying you're going to crash your car, but if you crash your car into their building, then they're also liable for it.
Of course, yeah.
All right?
That's why it's private.
So I'm telling you to please find somewhere else if you want to do this stuff where it's safe and if you have permission or able to do it that way. Because like I said, this business parking lot here, for one, Dupertai Road had a bunch of tire marks on there.
That was what they said. That's not really what they did. But I thought that's what they did, so I thought, oh shoot, I just got off scot-free, I'm good to go, nothing happened, we're clear. So another few weeks goes by, it's probably about July of 2024, and for the longest time, I wanted a BMW M4. So I went out, bought the car, and a few weeks later, after that, so this is like, I don't know, September of 2024, it was probably, 2, 3 a.m., I was driving around, just having a good time in my M4 that I dreamed of having. F82 M4, stick shift, by the way, just because, DCT is kind of sus. And even at this point, I had no clue my license was even suspended. So like for 3-4 months after it actually got suspended, I was driving around thinking nothing of it because never knew. I had no idea. Paint the picture. It's 3 a.m. and I accidentally ran a red light because it's 3 a.m. I was tired and the police just happened to be there. That was stupid. Can't believe I didn't see that coming. After all this time, I didn't get caught drifting. I got caught running a red light. So he writes me a ticket for running the red light. And along with that, he told me, hey, listen, I ran your information and it says your license is suspended. I'm like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Like, nobody told me anything. Pretty much, I looked it up and found out that when I paid that reckless driving ticket months before, I pretty much said, hey, you guys can suspend my license, and I agreed to it without knowing, which really, really pissed me off because it felt like I got set up, which in the end, that's probably exactly what happened. That's probably how they got me because they couldn't catch me just out in the clear. They had to, get me from the back paws. So yeah, for a whole 6 months, I was cooked. Straight cooked. Absolutely baked. And it sucked. Like, it was probably the worst experience. So bad. Middle of winter, can't go anywhere, stuck in the house. I have the cars, but I couldn't drive them. And to be honest, it was really, really lonely. Like, super lonely. I think the only person that was really just there helping me out was my girlfriend. So shout out to her for being an absolute real one. Moral of the story, do not go street drifting. It is extremely illegal and they will absolutely cook you if you're not smart. That is exactly how I got caught, lost my license, couldn't drive. Police were all over me, and the entire town that I used to live in, pretty much if I drove around in that pink Nissan with my logo on it, they would instantly pull me over because they just knew. They all just knew.